As you seek adventure, as you search for an unmatched experience in the great outdoors, you will find Alaska. There is no other place on Earth quite like Alaska. You are challenged by its monumental peaks, lush valleys, pristine lakes, clear, cold, cascading rivers. Alaska Outdoors is the greatest fishing in the world, abundant wildlife, and exhilarating quiet. Alaska Outdoors is limitless adventure.
When we got to Camp Denali, our guide told us that there would be 5 major things that we'd be looking for while we were at the park, and they'd be first the first 4 were the large mammals, a grizzly bear, a caribou, a moose, and a Dall sheep, and the 5th was probably the most elusive in the park, and that was Mount McKinley itself, because it was often shrouded by clouds, and a lot of people travel all the way to Alaska and never see Mount McKinley. But we were really fortunate because the weather was clear every day that we were there, and Mount McKinley was always out. It made its own weather, which it always would create clouds during the middle of the day, but the clouds would roll off and we'd have spectacular sunsets, and so we were really pleased to be able to enjoy the wildlife and the scenery with good weather.
Good morning.
Hello.
I'm Pete Peterson. Welcome to Camp Denali.
I'm Katie.
Katie?
I'm Dawn.
Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
Katie. You couldn't have picked a better day.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. What do you want to see besides the mountains, since you've already seen that?
I'd like to see a bear.
Have you seen bears before?
No, I always wanted to see a bear, and I never have. Other than in a zoo. I want
Okay.
to see a bear in the wild.
What do you want to see, Dawn?
I'd like to see anything wild.
Anything wild.
Yes, I've seen quite a few moose, but I'd prefer to see caribou.
Great. We have a lot of snow around, so sheep are going to be harder to see, but I hope we can see some of those too.
Oh, good.
There are 4 main animals that most people come here to see. Of course, bears are the most important, and people like those the most. There's also moose, and there's a caribou herd, and we have Dall sheep. Those sound like what you want to see?
Oh, I'd be happy if I could see even 1 or 2 of those.
Okay, great. Do you know how lucky you are to be here on a day when we've got such great weather?
Yeah.
The mountain really is one of the biggest reasons people come out here, and it's one of the hardest things to see, especially if you're here just...
Denali is the tallest mountain in North America and 3rd highest of the most towering peaks on all 7 continents. Denali, a traditional Alaska Native language word, means the tall one. For more than 100 years, people have called it Mount McKinley. But in 2015, the original name Denali was officially restored. Welcome to Camp Denali. Wilderness's luxury in the shadow of North America's tallest mountain.
We're in between 2 ecosystems here. We're driving through an area of Alaska now that is referred to as moist tundra. It has mostly made up of dwarf birch and a lot of willows. Oh, hey, what's right over there? Right by the
Oh, I see it!
The very base.
You see it?
Let's go take a look. I think it's a caribou. Let me just pull off the road here. Great.
Oh yeah, it's right out in plain sight there.
Let's go take a
Wow,
look.
yeah, let's go. Do you
We
think he'll
can't
stay
see very
there?
well from right here, and I'm sure we can when we get closer. Okay?
We were real fortunate on some of our hikes to see some wildlife. We saw one caribou that was lying down in a grove of alders and spruce, and he didn't seem too concerned about us. We were able to really get quite close before he got up and kind of rambled off. It was really exciting to be up that close to a wild animal in the wild, and know that the caribou are kind of the nomads of the north, and they're very much a part of the north.
It's real close. Look, see?
Yeah, this was the same.
He's facing that way.
This is the same bull that was over here earlier, from what other people said, and he moved into this area, and he's just resting right now. He's got a good sized set of antlers on him.
Yeah.
People ask, what's the difference between a caribou and a reindeer?
We might be able to move around the other side and get a better view of him.
Not much, really. It's mostly a matter of geography.
Moose will do that, but caribou don't usually do that. Sometimes when they're
Caribou are in North America, and reindeer are in Asia and Europe. So you might ask, if Santa lives at the North Pole, why are his sled-pulling animals reindeer and not
I think
caribou?
he's just not looking at anything. He's aware of our presence, but he doesn't seem to care very much.
I can hear it now. You'll be singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Caribou next Christmas.
It's sort of fun because we can see the rest of the body that way. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Those are called a brow tine. Hunters call those a shovel. And it's supposedly, there's several different ideas about it. Some think that it protects the nose area and eyes when they're sparring. And others think that when they're thrashing their head about, clean their antlers of the velvet, it protects the eyes so that the branches don't swish across the eyes and harm them. It's amazing that they lose those every year and then regrow them again.
Huh. You know, and they get so big. I can't believe in one season they grow that big.
It is amazing. Fantastic. That was really very fortunate. Sometimes when guests are here, they don't realize how fortunate it is when they see a caribou that close, but it's not something we do every day.
I thought seeing a bear would be exciting.
Yeah.
They
I
have
could go home now and be happy.
They have huge antlers. I'm always impressed by how big they are.
Some of our bus trips on the road, we saw some bear.
Can you believe the fall colors out here? I know, I can't believe it's fall. Look at the oranges and the reds on that mountain. Yeah. Look up there. What? Look! Look! Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, looks like it. Great.
Is it a black bear?
It is a black
Oh,
bear.
look right.
We didn't approach them, especially the grizzlies, because you don't want to make a foot race out of it. But we did see a grizzly bear, and he was foraging in the dirt and just feeding on berries.
Looks like he's going out of sight over the edge.
Well, we weren't even supposed to see one of those.
Yeah, black bears tend to be more in forested areas, and here in the park, a lot of the land is above timberline. So we see more grizzlies usually than black bears. He has his new coat on for the summer, for the coming winter, and of course it's so thick that it makes them look a lot larger than they are.
They're a little bit fuzzier, huh?
Yeah, they're fuzzier.
I didn't think I'd get so excited. It's different when you see it in the wild. Even though he's kind of far away, you know, it's just exciting.
Something about bears that just excites everybody. I just love watching them. They're just animal you can't forget. You're always looking for one, I think.
And we're really lucky to be able to see a black bear, which is real unusual in that part of the state. And the black bear stood out so much more than the other animals they were more camouflaged with the fall tundra colors. The black bear stood out and like a big ink blot on the side of the hill. And he was a little more skittish than the grizzly bear. The grizzly didn't seem to care how many people were parked along the road with their cameras out. He just kept eating. And we also saw some Dall sheep, and they hang on the edge of cliffs, and so we had to get pretty high to see them. But that was real exciting to see how they just scamper over these loose rocks and just as if they're playing.
Okay, let's mosey on and see what other animals are up next. It's a nursery group of Dall sheep grazing alongside a wide gravel riverbed.
We also saw some Dall sheep on a riverbed, which was real unusual.
Did you see him jumping?
Oh, that was pretty. Some of them took them 3 times to get across it.
That looks neat.
Oh, there they
Oh,
go.
look, yeah, there.
They almost look like those gazelles,
Yeah.
furry gazelles. There was I think that they call them a nursery group because it's the mothers and the babies, and they were feeding on a wide gravel riverbed. And we were able to get quite close to them too, and they just kind of wandered off. And it was really neat to be able to get that close to Dall sheep, because that's real unusual since they do stay to the really high elevations. On our way back to camp one day, we passed by a moose and her calf feeding in Wonder Lake right next to the road, right next to the edge of the shore. And that was really something to watch, how those moose just dive down in the water with their big heads. And you know that they're opening their eyes and chewing off all the vegetation off the bottom, and they come up and they look around and water's splashing off of them. And the babies they're a lot cuter than their mother, but they still have a face that only a mother could love, I think. And it was amazing to see how fast they could move. They're so gangly looking across that tundra that was so hard for us to walk on. It was like big sponges, big lumps of sponges.
That's the highest peak in North America, Denali. Some people call it Mount McKinley, but the old original Indian name is Denali, which means the great one or the high one. Some think that it should be returned to that name, since it really was the original name. Some say it should be natural names for natural places.
Oh.
The vertical rise from the base to the top has a higher amount of distance than any other peak in the world. It's
Ever since measuring mountains has been around, the official height of Denali has been shown at 20,320 feet. However, with modern methods, the official height is 20,310 feet.
To the very summit, straight up, it would be 3 miles, although it goes off at about a 45-degree angle. That side's only been climbed 5 times altogether. First climbed in '63 by 2 different parties on 2 different routes. Kind of interesting that they both did it the same year. One's called the Canadian route, and one's called the Harvard route. The Harvard route is technically more difficult. It goes almost right up the center. It's just a...
In 1913, Hudson Stuck was the first person on record to stand on the mountain's summit.
It's really funny to be, when you live in Alaska, you see animals all the time. Moose cross the roads in the winter, and you'll see a bear come down into your yard. And so I guess I was able to spot some of the animals a little easier than someone else who is not used to seeing animals in their front yard or on the side of the road or anywhere except in a zoo. Overall, the experience was really a wonderful one for me. Even though I've lived in Alaska, I have not had an opportunity to really explore the park like that, and to be able to get out and just walk around leisurely and to explore the wildlife and the flora. It was really wonderful for me, and I plan to go back again, because you get to see things in a different perspective than in your day-to-day world. Or even in Alaska, people go to work and they have 4-lane highways, and they seem to forget their surroundings and the beauty of the land around them.